Oh, my love. A thousand kisses from you is never too much. I just don't want to stop. Oh, my love. A million days in your arms is never too much. And I just don't want to stop. Never too much, never too much, never too much. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Ty, and I am here to review the awesome documentary on the life of the late, great Luther Vandross, Luther, as we call him, and it's called Luther, Never Too Much, and it is streaming right now on Max. It used to be HBO Max, but now it's just called Max, and this is a awesome look into one of my favorite singers. He had such an influence on me. When I heard they were doing a Luther Vandross documentary, I was so excited. I was like, oh, that's going to be good. And it's good that, look, I can't even speak. So it premiered on CNN in January, and I did watch it there, but I again watched it last night on Max, and boy, it just got just so good, so good. And I know it had a limited run in the theaters as well, but it's such a good documentary, and it was directed by Dawn Porter, written and directed by Dawn Porter. Jamie Foxx was one of the producers, as well as the Tari Turner, and it features all of his good friends, his childhood friends, his people he knew since he was a teenager who were with him from the beginning, and they discussed, they just discussed the man. We got an inside look on Luther Vandross. Now, a lot of this I already knew, but then there was still so many things that I was intrigued by. One thing I gotta say with this documentary, the music. They gave us so much music, and y'all know Luther has tons of hits, and they gave us. I was like, and they have just about all of my gems because I'm a diehard Luther Vandross fan. Listen, one of the first songs I learned as a kid, but you couldn't tell me I wasn't Luther Vandross. I could have just swore it was sound nothing like him, but in my head at 10, what a 10-year-old know, I used to always sing, "Let me hold you tight, if only for one night, if only for one night." That was my joint. And yeah, I know I was a little old man, I know, yes, but that was my joint. So just to get this documentary, to get a behind the scenes look at, to see a master at work, to see a genius at work. And what I liked that we learned, we saw his early beginnings, him starting in the group with this group called Listen My Brother, and he was a teenager, and they said even from a teenager he was always a natural leader. He knew what he wanted musically. He had a great sense of humor, but he was a perfectionist, and he knew what he wanted. And you could tell that's true, because if you listen to Luther Vandross's music, everything is on point. He's on point vocally, and those backgrounds are always like amazing. And he always had the best background singers and the best arrangements, because he had Cissy Houston behind him. He had Tawatha, I forgot how you say Tawatha Agee. I think that's how you say her name. He had Fonzie Thornton. Oh my God, just so many great people. Lisa Fisher, so many great people doing the backgrounds, and he was a perfectionist, and he made sure it was right and tight. And they also showed us his influences, and we know he always mentioned in interviews that he was influenced by the great Dionne Warwick. And she's one with a beautiful tone, and another one with these very detailed arrangements. If you pay attention to her work in the 60s with Burt Bacharach and Hal David, those songs are beautiful, but they're not really that easy to sing, even though people think they are, because she sings with so much ease. But she's changing keys, and the way those songs are arranged, they are quite difficult songs. And Luther does the same thing, but he tricks us because he's so easygoing. He's not belting and hollering and screaming, so you're thinking, oh, it's easy. He makes it look easy, but Luther Vandross songs are not easy to sing. They're not easy. So we see his influences: Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick, the Supremes. And you can tell because if you look at the shows, the way he put on shows, the way he had his background singers, especially the women, it all in the glam and the glitz. That's all Supremes right there, baby. That's all that Supreme. He was you could see the perfectionist. And then I learned something I didn't know is that with those gowns and those things that they had on, he designed those outfits for them. So he was one of those perfectionists. His music was perfect. He wanted you to have a wonderful time at his concert, and I'm sure people did. And that's one thing I never got to go to a concert of his. I mean, the last concert he did, I missed getting tickets for it, and then shortly after that he got sick, so it was like ugh. But anyway, I loved how they showed his early beginnings, and they showed him, you know, starting out Listen My Brother and doing Sesame Street, and then he was doing jingles, and then he became a session singer, and he was working with the likes of David Bowie. Now, this is something I did not know, because I know he did sing background for David Bowie, but I did not know that at that time he was a vocal producer and arranger, producing and arranging the vocal, background vocals and all that for David Bowie's album. He went on, he was singing with Roberta Flack, he sang with Bette Midler, growing his chops, you know what I'm saying? He's still a relatively young man, but he was in the business for a good while as a session singer and as a background singer, and he did songs with Change and all this. But then he was ready to step out on his own, and rightfully so, as a solo artist. Now, this is what got me, is you know that they was turning Brother Luther down. They said that when he's going to do his solo project, he shopped it to the different labels, and they all said no. And we're learning a lot of things had to do with his looks, that he was a heavy set guy and didn't have that look, I guess, that they were looking for. They even said, even in the early days, like when he was doing Listen My Brother, he was the better singer out of everyone in that group. But because he was heavy, they put the spotlight on some of the other singers. So I'm like, interesting to see that. And, you know, to see how unfortunate it is that with that much talent, people will always focus on looks. But listen, Luther proved them wrong. Not saying he was a bad looking dude or anything like that, but, you know, because of his weight or whatever, Luther proved them wrong, that the music speaks for itself and the talent speaks for itself. Because when his career took off, his career skyrocketed. So I like how they showed all that, and I loved all the music that was in all the music that was in this documentary. Just was so, as a fan, you just like, I was like, oh, that's my jam. Oh, that the man has so many hits, and it's just, that was really good. I really appreciated that. And then there was some sad parts, because it was things I did not know. I knew, you know, we growing up, you saw Big Luther, Little Luther, Big Luther, but I didn't know that was something that he was struggling with. Well, I guess I should have figured that out with the, you know, back and forth, the yo-yoing with the weight. I knew that. I was like, why is he's having an issue maintaining his weight? But he really took that really hard. That really bothered him, his size. But what bothers me about that is, man, we love Luther regardless, skinny, fat, whatever. But for him, that weight thing that was a struggle with him. That's something he never came to terms with. And another thing, they said that he never found true love. I thought that was really sad. And one of my jams by him, Any Love. I speak to myself sometimes, and I say, oh my, in a wide ways, you're a lucky guy. That's my jam. But I learned here in this documentary that was one of his favorite songs, but it's because it was a song that he said was really true to his actual life. And when you listen to that, it's like, damn, he never found love. He never found true love, and he just couldn't. And that also played into the allegations of his sexuality. That was another thing that he held close to him. He didn't want to disclose his sexuality. And what I liked in this documentary is neither do his friends. None of them mention they say if he was, or this, that, and the third. They don't mention his sexuality. They don't confirm or deny it, because that's how he wanted it. But this documentary caused a little controversy with the legendary Patti LaBelle, because there is a clip in there where Miss Patti mentions that he was gay and that he didn't want to hurt his mother, and he didn't want to hurt his female fans, his lady fans. And then you had Richard Marx they cut to Richard Marx saying, how could someone that's claiming to be his friend mention his sexuality when that's something that he didn't mention? So it kind of villainized Patti. I don't think that was on purpose, but I know I saw online after that aired, there was a lot of people saying, oh, Patti, didn't she aired his business out? But looking at that clip, and I remember seeing that when that came out, I don't think she intentionally did that to hurt him or anything. But, just talking on a talk show, just kind of slipped it out. Was it her place to say? No, but I don't think she did that with ill intentions. But I know that I was also reading that she was upset with this documentary because she feels like it made her look like the bad guy when she wasn't. She really loved him. But, you did tell a man's business, and, so it was that. I loved how we got to hear from folks like Mariah Carey, Richard Marx, Dionne Warwick, Nile Rodgers, Roberta Flack, his longtime collaborators Marcus Miller and Nat Adderley Jr., and his singers Lisa Fisher, Fonzie Thornton, Kevin Owens, Ava Cherry, I think that's how so many greats that contributed to this documentary. And what I like is his friends were loyal to him. They kept his business to themselves, and even in the grave, they still don't discuss his sexuality. But it was a really good documentary. And of course, they touched on another thing I didn't know. I didn't know that he had an issue. He was struggling with this whole issue of crossing over and being pop. Because in my eyes, Luther was already a big star. But, I didn't know he was struggling with that too. And that the labels were giving him a hard time, not giving him the same budgets as some of his white counterparts and things of that nature. But he made it. He won the Grammys. He did what he had to do. And then, of course, unfortunately, he got sick. And I remember that. And I remember when he pulled through. They showed all of that, too, when he pulled through and all of that. And then he ended up, he pulled through after, being found. I think he had a stroke or whatever due to diabetes or whatever. He was found unconscious in his home. And I remember those clips. I remember when they showed him interviewing on Oprah, and you seen he was his voice was slurry, and he wasn't who he was anymore. He wasn't himself anymore. But it looked like he was on the comeback, and that's when he did the Dance With My Father album, which did really well. And then shortly, a few years after the stroke or whatever, he died in the hospital, and I think in rehab or something like that. And I was devastated, as many of you were devastated too, because I was like, oh man. So this documentary really did it for me. I thought it was great because they did it respectfully. They didn't exploit him. Everybody showed love here. You know what I'm saying? And they focused on his talent and the man behind the talent, his gifts, how he was a arranger and a writer, writing for folks like Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick. Like, he wrote songs too, and he was also the king of covers. Because when he touched your song, it became his song. House Is Not a Home, Superstar, If Only for One Night. Those are all remakes. But when we think of those songs, we think Luther, because he took them and made them his own, which is what he did. He was just a premier, awesome singer. And I'm glad that this documentary was made because it gave him his due. We got to keep his legacy going. I always keep his legacy going because I love me some Luther Vandross. Just an amazing artist. So listen, tell me your thoughts if you watched it. What did you think of it? How did you think it was? I thought it was great. I'm missing some part. There was some other issue that I didn't know about, the tragic car accident. I know he was in a car accident. I didn't know that. You see, those are things I learned. It was a sad side. It was sad things I learned. His struggles with weight, people worried about his sexuality, his eating addiction. I didn't know that. So there was some things, but still an overall great documentary. And you left feeling good. I left feeling good, and an even bigger fan than I was when I came. And I was already a diehard fan, though, because he could do no wrong in my eyes. But it was like, dang, man, this man ain't find no love. I know I'm rambling now, but you know, that part and just some of the struggles, which tells you everybody has struggles and ups and downs, but he gave so much joy to us through his music. So many wonderful hits. I'll be here all night talking about his hits. So I feel like I'm rambling now. I done spoiled a lot for you but I'm saying I'm telling you, check it out. It's a wonderful documentary. Luther, Never Too Much, streaming right now on the Max app. So check it out on Max. It used to be HBO Max, but now it's just called Max. So that's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.